and welcome back to No Free Drinks. This is Lina D, and I'm here with your co-host.
Hey, it's Westley.
Hey guys, it's Brock.
And today we actually have another fan-inspired episode. We got this question from one of our listeners, and he directly asked us, are you open to dating a stripper? So as much as we would love to get into that, and we will, we thought that this was an opportunity for us to answer the question, but to also take a step back and get a little bit deeper about what that really touches on. And getting into it, it's really a conversation about deal breakers and preferences, which I think for the most part, sometimes people don't understand the difference between them. So we'll talk a little bit about that because I think it means a little bit different for everybody, but that's part of the complication is that sometimes I think people get too wound up in creating lists of what they're looking for in a person, but not really understanding what they're really willing to trade off and what they're actually willing to compromise on. So I like to define a deal breaker as something that I'm not willing to compromise on. And it's something that I'm specifically looking at to have some sort of commitment. But I think that I categorize them into short-term versus long-term and in terms of what type of relationship that I'm looking for. Whereas preferences are specific features that I'm prepared to compromise on, that it's more of like, I would prefer to have a guy that's 5 inches taller than I am, but I'm willing to date a guy that's only an inch or two taller than me. So that's kind of how I think about it. And I think that sometimes people don't have clarity on it, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think your definition of deal breaker is spot on. And for preferences, I also want to add that I think that has kind of like 2 buckets. So you kind of have very strong preference. So it's not a deal breaker where you're going to walk away immediately, but at the same time, you feel very strongly on it. For example, let's say you grew up with a lot of pets, but the person you're dating is not necessarily against pets, but they didn't grow up with pets, so they don't have that same admiration for pets. So that's kind of something you have to feel out as time goes on. But yeah, you have a strong preference, but you're not going to be like, hey, I don't want to date you no more because you didn't necessarily grow up with 5 dogs. And then on the
or like cat versus dogs is kind of the other conversation that people get into.
Worst reason to stop dating someone. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And then like on the lower end, there's strictly a preference is, does this person cook? Like, it'll be nice if you cook because I don't cook, but at the same time,
you don't need that.
Yeah, you don't need that. Just a nice extra bonus to get at the end.
That's awesome to hear from a guy that you, as a woman, not cooking is now considered a bonus versus it used to be a point in society and history that it was a requirement.
Yeah, you need to cook.
Like that was your education was like if you could cook, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm glad to hear that unprompted coming from a man.
Yeah.
So seamless is for.
Yeah, I'm of the same mentality that, preferences are, what they are. You'll kind of bend a little bit on the preferences, but that's cool. But the deal breakers are just like hard nose. Nah, I'm not dealing with that. Go the other way. So
with that being said, to get back to our fan question, what do you guys think about the whole current former stripper or porn star, and if you would actually go on dates with them or date somebody that has that as an occupation?
Sure, I'll take a stab at that one. So for porn stars, if I date a current or former porn star, I think that's just a hell no. I don't know. It's just something about like having, like, it's not a mystery. Like,
what they
do.
Yeah.
And then my head, like, I like to do this scenario. So like, let's say we all go out. We go out a lot together. And then usually the first time you meet someone's dating, hi, what's your name? Where do you guys meet? What do you do for a living? And I can't handle that. That's a lot of pressure. I can't handle that pressure. So it's not a knock on porn stars. It's too much women out there for me to. I can be picky, so I'm going to be picky in that type of occupation. And then that actually reminded me of a story from about 2 years ago in GQ where Lisa Ann is a very popular porn star. I'm sure most of you guys know who she is. Guys and ladies.
Neil Palin.
Oh, she did play Sarah Palin a couple times.
Yeah.
And then she talked about, for like the last 1 to 2 decades, like hooking up with NBA players. And then that's kind of like another thing with this question. Like, if we break it up into, hey, we happen to be in the same place, same time, we just hook up, which is kind of what she was doing. The second tier being somewhat keeping in touch, casually dating. She did that a little bit, but not as much. And then the third tier, hey, this could be potentially wifey material. So I'd probably say no for all three, but that's just me. No judgment. And for a stripper, not as strong of as a no, but still no. Possibly yes or maybe in the first bucket. I don't know.
You ain't Drake out here in these streets, bro?
Not Drake. Funny thing, actually had this conversation with my parents a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So I was home visiting my parents, and my 2 younger brothers were home, catching each other up, and we're talking about music. And so both my brothers are big on music, and a little bit of an age gap. So I usually go to them like, "Hi, keep me up on like what's new in these streets." And then Cardi B came up. And then for those of you guys who don't know, Cardi B is a former Bronx stripper turned relatively successful rapper. I think just 1 or 2 songs, but her current song is Billboard's #1 U.S. rap song, and Billboard's #3 U.S. rap, #3 song in general. And then so I was like explaining to like my parents like her background, like used to be a stripper, and then unsolicited I brought up like I don't think I could ever date a stripper. And my dad goes, why not? I was like, you clearly haven't been to a strip club. They're not making that money from them singles you throwing at them. So, like, it's a kind of similar to the porn star is, like, it's not as explicit as a porn star. You can just Google the name, look it up. But, I mean, if you've been in the business a long time or if you've been to strip clubs a long time, no one knows what happens in the champagne room in the back. So, like, I don't know. I don't see myself.
Do champagne rooms exist in New York, though?
Not as much.
I mean, we had one that closed down that we're kind of like fans of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really sad.
Yeah.
I love that place.
It is more of a non-New York thing in like Vegas and like international abroad. But yeah,
you're just like, it's too much uncertainty for you.
And it's just too much people to meet out there for me to be like worried about like your potential occupational hazard, like just not.
Yeah, it's semen in the face.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like it's an occupation. So whereas I think even if it was somebody like, let's say, that was having as much sex as a porn star or a stripper, there isn't as much pressure to explain it because it's not an occupation. So I think that's what your sort of hesitance in dating them is, just the fact that it's part of what they do. So
every day, like I'm 9 to 5 at the desk, you're 9 to 5 on the pole or taking a pole. Like just it's a lot.
I mean, could you imagine you go out with the porn star or whatever, and then like one of your friends come up to you, did you see that scene that she was in? She took like 8 cream pies and shit like that. Like just that's a lot.
There's nothing you could do.
There's nothing you can do. You're like, well, yeah.
How much do you think that has to do with male ego?
That's a good question.
Huge
I think
part
it's a
of
huge
it.
part, like 95% of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say 99.
95% of it is just ego, and then 5% is like, well, she takes it in the face. Well, all right, well, I can move on. I think that if it was like undercover, some men would actually would do it. I think if it was just like, oh, you know, we don't have to go out in public, we can Netflix and chill the whole time, and y'all don't have to really like do the chill part, but y'all Netflix, watch a movie indoors, or if it's very like secluded and very people know the person or whatever, I think it can be done. But it's just like too many guys out here watch porno to not recognize certain people out here in these streets, especially New York. So
yeah, but how many people actually manage a relationship like that? Like the whole point of being in a relationship is that you go out together, that you experience things together. So it sounds more like a
You hide the
closeted
person.
side chick
Yeah,
that you're
basically.
dating versus actually dating them.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy. Like you said, it's the male ego thing.
That's crazy. Because I think that I'm going to be just straight up and say that I would consider dating a porn star or a stripper, but it would have to be in an open relationship type of thing.
Hey.
Because I feel like they're constantly out there meeting people in their profession, and it's difficult not to like just have them compare you to all these people all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think there might be a sense of not connecting with people immediately just because in your job you're having sex or you're performing sexual things, but you're not connecting with everyone because of the fact that you can't be doing that because it's part of your profession.
Right.
So in order to protect myself, I wouldn't seek a serious relationship with that person out of fear that I'm connecting with someone that's not connecting with me 100%.
Right.
But that would be the only reason why.
I'm on the fence with the porn star one. I'm on the fence with that. I'm like 55% no, 45% yes. And the only reason why I'm like 45% yes is because like I just want to see what that's like to date a porn star. I just want to see what that looks like, you know, because
dating or fucking?
That's a good question. I think both. You know what? Not fucking. Like the dating part is just like, you know, I know I probably wouldn't take it too seriously, but like you said, I probably do the open relationship thing. But besides that, more than that, I would like to try like what it's like to have sex with a porn star, like a pro, than like the amateur, you know, because we do have some amateurs out here that are porn like pros, but I want to see what the pro life is like. Is it what it really is in the porn star in the movies, or I know it's not, but it's like I wonder how that's like.
How it's different.
Yeah. So, but with the stripper though, I don't know. There's some, you know what? With strippers, there are some like I'm going in the gray area right now. There are some strippers who are out there who are trying to make that money, go to school, whatever. Like Brock was saying, you know, they don't just make that money off the $1 bills that they're getting thrown at them. What if they're getting thrown like fives though? You know, some dudes go in there
that still
and
don't
then
add
they
up.
just take a big stack of money. Did you see that Floyd Money Mayweather like celebration? He was just like throwing the money everywhere. He was just like, here you go. I was just like, what the
dollar
fuck?
bills for you and dollar bills
I don't
for
think
you.
those were dollar bills. I'm pretty sure those were like fives and tens. He's throwing at them like, here, bitch, pow, in the face. Here's a wad of cash. Data wallet. So yeah.
Okay, so I think the consensus is you'll dabble with it, but not necessarily.
Now Brock was like, no.
Nah, I said no.
No, okay, so you're like, no.
I'm
So
all
Brock's
in
like,
the
hell
left.
no.
So we gotta know. We gotta like, I'll fuck you, and we have a dabble. So no definite yeses.
Yeah.
But at least there is some open-mindedness to trying it out.
Yeah, some.
Except for Brock.
Yeah.
Brock shaking his head over here like,
Nah.
fuck that.
Brock's like, nah, chill.
And then, so I guess, so we started off with would you date a stripper porn star? And we thought it'd be kind of cool to like go into some deal breakers that we had ourselves. And so I'm started off. One deal breaker I have is religion, which is funny because I mentioned way back when grew up Catholic. So did the baptism, communion, confirmation, Sunday school, church every Sunday, falling asleep on mom, but you get away with it because you're young. And then as soon as we became of age, I disagree with a lot the church had to say, whether it's about abortion or gay marriage or the worship of icons. Like there's a lot of stuff, sex before marriage, just some superficial, some important social issues. And I just decided to be more spiritual. So I'm not saying I wouldn't date someone who is religious. I wouldn't date someone who's like super religious. It's just going to be a clash of worlds because a lot of stuff I disagree with it. If you are super religious, you're probably going to be, abortion, you're killing a baby, which is it's not a baby,
right?
Scientifically speaking. And also just, I try to be a very rational, logical person, which if you're super religious is the exact opposite, is a belief system. So you believe in stuff that can't necessarily be proven, which it doesn't jive with me. So if you're super religious, it doesn't matter what religion, you're just never going to get along. And it's just something you're not going to compromise, which is fine. That's probably how you grew up. That's what you practice now. And me, I like 1 + 1 is 2. I don't like, well, this is true because I believe it. And also the flip side of that is kind of like imposing your beliefs on other people, as well as kind of half-assed. People say they're religious, but you out here in these streets having sex before marriage, or you just put a condom on. So it's like all these like half-assed belief systems. So I just
we got people out here who believe in cookie cutter shit. Like, oh well, we can't have sex before marriage. We can have sex before marriage, but I don't believe in abortion. Like, it's sin. Like, it's both the same thing. Like,
stop waiting sin. Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
So I guess for you, it's more it's only a deal breaker when the person is like extreme, and it almost causes conflict, and then how you view things together.
Agreed. Yeah, it's only if it's an extreme case, which seems to be a lot of people nowadays. And then it especially now in our current political climate, like there's just so many social issues front and center that it'll come up time and time again.
Right.
I don't have any time for that shit. No. Like arguing about does this person have the right to get married? Like what? Like it's fucking 2017.
Yeah.
Like I don't have time to argue with stuff like that.
See, I would say that when it comes to dating, it's more of a preference for me. Like I don't expect, like I'm completely fine dating an atheist or dating someone that has faith or is religious. It's more around whether that person respects my views and how I view religion and faith. So I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I still consider myself a Catholic. And this is kind of getting to like your point of like the a la carte menu of like what you subscribe to and what you don't.
Yeah.
And I guess my definition of being Catholic is not how I judge others and how I take the scripture and take sort of those lessons of how you should be living your life. I don't necessarily follow it to the T, but for me, it's something that I grew up with and I respect it. And I also respectfully decline to subscribe to some of the beliefs. But for me, it's the faith that it was taught to me, and my faith and belief in God was taught to me under the umbrella of Catholicism. So that's what I respect. And people can live their life and be as, faithful and loyal to the scripture as much as they want. And I'm not going to judge you, but don't also judge me and how I subscribe to what religion means to me.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's really more of how I think about it.
Yeah. I mean, I have a story, a short story, but one I'd like to share. But so I was in college. I was messing around with this chick, and we were going out, I would say steady for like 6 to 8 months, something like that. But I remember this clear as day. So like around the 5th month or whatever, we just abruptly stopped having sex.
Just one day you came in
and then like, I would try to put the moves on her.
No more cheeks.
And then it's just like, stonewall. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So finally just like opened up, had a conversation. I was just like, look, I'm not understanding what the hell's going on. So why are we not, getting freaky? Like, what the fuck's going on? So she's like, no, because I've renewed my faith in God, and I feel like,
my Jesus.
I feel like, like, I feel like, what I'm doing is not right, this, that, whatever. So knowing who I am, I just said, all right, well, that's great. You found God, but I think that we should cut this off because I know how I am. Like, if I'm not going to get no cheeks, I'm going to cheat on you. And it's going to cause more drama. So she's like, I don't understand. How come everything about you is about sex, blah, blah, blah. Like the whole guilt trip thing. I'm just like, no, this is to, save you and me from any more possible heartbreak and drama and headache and shit like that. So I was called kinds of assholes for after we broke up for 3 or 4 months. And then she ended up getting pregnant, like, I think 9 months later.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, that her faith in God was pretty short lived.
Yeah, basically.
And see, and that's my problem. The whole a la carte thing, like, and one of us pulled a switcheroo, another one didn't. From day one, I told you I liked sex. From day one, you pretended to like sex. Ooh, got him. Actually, no more sex. Like, just be upfront. If you're religious, you're religious. Don't have sex. All right, cool. Bye. I like sex. Like, just be upfront. Like, it's not that complicated.
Personally, I have a phrase for stuff like that. And it's called sex as a weapon. Like, I don't subscribe to shit like that. You know, that's not me personally. I wouldn't deal with that. So I knew who I know, like, it's about self. So it's like, I know who I am. I don't like this shit. I'm not going to get down with this. So peace out, Girl Scout. So,
well, it's interesting because it's talking about the deal breakers and the preferences. So if you're going into a relationship with someone, you know that they're freaky or that they want to have sex or that they're somebody that they would rather not have sex. And it's an upfront conversation that is
right.
Or had in that case. But it seems like for you, it was more of like a bait and switch. And then when that person, and I guess it's like a bait and switch, but then you don't even have the conversation, which I think the other piece too, it's like sometimes there are changes in your life where you say either you were religious at one point and then for whatever reason you kind of fell off the religious wagon and then you're feeling some type of way about it. And let's say you decide that you want to be religious. That's completely up to you.
Right.
But you should also inform your partner that you've made this decision and also give them a way out. Not have the expectation that all of a sudden the person is going to change just because you've decided to change.
Right. That's true. I mean, I was like,
yeah, I think those are like the types of things that you have to come in very black and white with. Like, I'm very black and white as far as like kids. So kids is a deal breaker for me. I will not date a man that has kids. I will not romantically pursue a man that has kids. If I have sex with him, it stops at sex and that's it. But I just don't want to deal with other people's drama. I don't want to deal raising other people's kids. It's just like not my view of how I want to start a family and start my own relationship.
Right.
And I can't all of a sudden just come into it and say, well, I'm just going to ignore that you have kids. And then all of a sudden, like, waste their time and waste my time. And then say, oh, well, you know what? Now I want my own kids. So we can't have kids together because you already have kids. Like, it's you have to just be upfront with it, which is like what the whole purpose of a deal breaker is that you're not willing to budge on it. It's just like, it doesn't work for you, but I'm pretty sure there's somebody else out there that arrangement or that situation might work for.
What if they were like, you know, widowed and then had kids?
What do you mean?
Like, you know, person got married. Oh, they had a child with the person. And then, boom, the spouse dies or whatever.
Oh, but the kids are still alive?
Kids still alive.
No.
Kids gotta be gone.
Yeah. Kids gotta go.
It's my selfish nature, but I know that, and that's something that if it had to come up in conversation, like, we would talk about it.
Oh, you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? She admitted she's selfish. I'm just
I mean, at least I'm upfront about it. I mean, Westley, I told you when I met you, because you've had some crazy stories. But yeah. I was like, if you had some kids running around, this wouldn't even be a thing.
Man, I ain't got no kids running around.
Exactly.
That you know of.
Pull-out game is super strong right now, man.
Until that one time it isn't.
Yeah, nah, chill. Pull-out game is extreme.
That's not my life. Whereas, like, I'm completely okay with being with somebody that's been in a previous marriage, but they came out without kids. So the marriage thing doesn't bother me. It's just the other person's life bothers me.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting.
That's one of my deal breakers.
I'd say for kids, like maybe like 10 years ago, it was like a huge deal breaker for me. I had 2 younger brothers. All my aunts and uncles got like 3 to 5 kids. So just kids. I was like, cool, I want 4. Started off for 4. Then first ex-girlfriend, she was like, where are these 4 kids coming out of? I was like, you're right. you're right. Not my body.
Yeah.
2? It became 2. Then I'm like, I have friends who have kids, and they're just like boring as shit now. So I'm like, do I really want kids? And then it came down to, yes, I want kids, but like the timing has to be financially and mentally. I have to be prepared for that. So
True.
And then if I meet someone who everything else is like amazing and she didn't want kids, I'd be fine with that. So I think, yeah, it morphed from like 100% deal breaker to more of a preference.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. And the marriage thing, I think I could date someone who's previously married. I've seen a lot of friends, and not a lot, well, good amount of friends and friends of friends who around my age who are now divorced. And so
Damn.
I think seeing it firsthand kind of makes it a lot realer than it was in the past. So I think I'd be open to that as well.
Okay. I think one of my deal breakers is like somebody who doesn't have educational or career credentials. Like, you got no bachelor's degree, you still working the the admin job for like 20 years. Like that, not like
You're not about that life.
Nah,
You've worked too hard.
I've just worked too hard in my life to like, for me though, like if you show like some sort of ambition, let's say like, oh, you got the associate's degree, but you want to get the bachelor's and you trying to get up there, then I got love for you. Like you trying to make moves. But if you still at the same spot, if you're not trying to move up, you're not trying to be ambitious, you're not trying to be that go-getter person that like I see in myself, then I'm cool on you. So I know that sounds really fucked up right now, but I'm cool on that, because I grew up in a family where like education was always like the forefront. Like it was never about like you went to school to get an education. Like I didn't get all them ass whoopings when I got the 80 and the 85, just to see myself as somebody else. Like that's not about that life. So let's just put it that way. Yeah, man.
With your own belt. Like,
yeah.
give me your belt. Like, really mine?
Yeah.
And it's like, at least in my household, it was always about, we came here for the opportunity.
Yeah.
And you're not seizing it. And I'm like, okay, well, I just got a 95. Chill.
So it's like, nah, I can't. It's one of those things for me. I can't do it. So
it's tough. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker for me. It's a strong, very strong preference. So like,
if you had to measure it from 100, like what super strong, like 90%,
it's like
80%?
99.3. I don't know where 3 came from, but we're gonna say 99.3. We're like, they can be exceptions made, like if I don't know if it's some crazy life story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's super bad, or like parents pass away, had to take care of younger siblings, like something like that.
Yeah.
It was a life story like that, but like just you're the same age as myself and you're like you said, like an admin or a barista. Like the odds of me being intellectually stimulated is gonna be pretty low.
Man, you got to be the manager of Starbucks for me to go out with you, not the barista. Like, I mean, can't be senior barista.
Spelling names wrong and shit. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna use you better. And then touch upon the career thing. It has to be realistic career aspirations, because I've had exes and they're like,
no aspiring drummers.
No, I like musicians, people who sing and are in the arts. No, but like more like where the aspiration doesn't meet the talent. So like I had one ex wanting to be a doctor. So, which, as we all know, is a fuck ton of school. Like,
yeah,
you gotta pretty much get all A's in undergrad, medical school, residency, then you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
She was struggling like freshman year bio. I'm like, oh my Jesus. Like, this is not, but as a boyfriend, you can't say that. She's like, oh yeah, go get it, babe. You got this. You got this. In my head, I'm like, it's not gonna work. Like, you are struggling. You have like another 12 years of school, and you're struggling with this.
Struggling
like
with this shit.
Struggling with
it's
algebra.
over.
Yeah.
Pre-calc.
There's always a saying that's always stuck with me. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. It always sticks with me for a while. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Man, if you don't have to be talented, you gotta know how to get it. If you don't know how to get it,
Good for you.
fuck all that.
I will say, so in addition to religion, another deal breaker I have is social habits. So as most of my friends know, I'm a very social person. And I've tried to date in someone who doesn't drink, and it is just the most frustrating shit ever.
So even if they're willing to go out and party as hard as you do without the drinking, it's still a deal breaker? Or you just haven't met someone that's like that?
So the odds of that happening is pretty low, but if that was the case, I guess hypothetically, yes. I don't know. There's just something about the act of drinking, just social
stupid
camaraderie. Like, I don't know.
Social camaraderie.
That's what I knew.
I don't know. Like, you just
He's stupid.
it's just like boozy brunch, like everyone just throwing back a drink, having a good time, and it's just the appearance of drinking. So, quick story. So mentioned many episodes ago, I used to work in banking in Boston and had older gentleman in my team. He used to make fun of me. He's like, I have ties older than you. Like older guy, like pretty damn smart, but didn't drink. But that only worked for him because he was in the industry so long. Like a big part of a lot of jobs is the social aspect of drinking, or when you have a holiday party or a summer outing, you bring significant other. Being able to let your significant other roam around and go essentially drink and go talk to other coworkers and their spouses, significant others.
Right.
So like that part is, to me, is very underrated. It's very important. Like being able to like, not even network, just being able to like massage the room. Like just, I don't know. Like
It's like social skills. But
Yeah.
like not everybody has social skills.
Yeah.
no, that's very important. So I think, the deal breaker is like just you not drinking at all. Your social skills is probably not fully
weak as
maximized.
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I really have any other deal breakers. We touched on ambition, so we talked about that a lot, and I would agree.
What about appearances? How the person looks.
It's more of a preference.
I think that's a preference for
Yeah,
me
that's
as
true.
well, because
Yeah.
I've gotten attractive or been attracted to guys that at the first glance I wasn't really into them, but then after getting to know their personality and if they had a good sense of humor, then I was able to overlook the fact that they didn't look a certain way.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
So I think I'm more open-minded when it comes to that and actually getting to know the person.
Okay.
But I think one deal breaker is people that aren't, so I mentioned ambition, but like lack of curiosity, like just wanting to like go to new places and explore different countries. And so I think that's more of a thing. Like because I'm very much outgoing and I like trying new things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not with somebody that's like that, then it's a turn off.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes total sense.
But, it's funny just going through like this particular exercise, how much it brings to light how picky and selective people get when it comes to thinking about like who they're dating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think normally you wouldn't necessarily think about all this stuff at the same time if you just met someone face to face. It would just be more like, oh, we had a great conversation and I laughed and I had a great time, or I'm immediately attracted to you, so I want to get to know you better. And the more that people are using apps to meet people, it's not that immediate attraction anymore. It's all about this laundry list of things. And I had kind of talked about this in a previous episode where the whole concept of looking good on paper. And for me, it's still something that's a bit foreign because even just how I said I don't have a ton of deal breakers, like these are kind of like my top 2 or 3.
Right.
But I did go out and try to get some more perspectives on that just so that I can try to understand it. And I basically came to the conclusion that it's a process that you go through as you're vetting somebody out and you're going through these check boxes of stuff and, they have the education, they have no kids, they have a great career, and it's all this good stuff that you're saying that would be deal breakers if they didn't have otherwise. So once that person checks all those boxes, they should be good in your book, but you're really not into them. So that's what the whole, that's what I learned about the whole looking good on paper and what that means. So I was just curious and I know it's something that my girlfriends refer to a lot when we have conversations when they're going out on dates. And sometimes it just kind of baffles me because I'm like, I either like you or I don't like you. And just because you went to HBS and you're a banker, that's awesome in terms of what you bring to the table. But if I'm not really into you like that, for me, it's moot. We could just be friends. I'd rather have you as a really cool friend instead of forcing myself to want to date you long term. So what are your opinions around, is that how you kind of vet women out too? Or I was just curious if it was something that everybody refers to, because I've actually never heard a guy refer to a woman as having her look good on paper, but trying to justify why he should be with her.
Cool. Yeah, I'll take a first stab at that. I'm guilty of that myself as well, especially like you said with the dating apps. They kind of lay it out for you as well, but at the end of the day, it comes down to connection. There's no box on there that says, will you have a connection with this person? You can't feel that connection until you actually meet this person. So I'll take connection 10 times out of 10 over this laundry list of requirements. I compare it to building a Lego set. It's just people aren't Legos where you just, I want an orange piece here, I want a blue piece there, I want to, people come as is. It's up to you, do I have this connection with this person? That's the way I always go with. When I start dating someone, I describe them to our friends or family. The last thing I usually describe is what they do, what this person looks like, yada yada. It's oh, how do I feel about this person? And then you could feel that energy about me talking to a person. And I think I think the laundry list is not a bad thing for initial vetting when it comes to deal breakers. But it shouldn't be, oh, I have this amazing connection with this person, but the person isn't 5'10" or more. I'm just gonna it's just dumb. Right. I've had this conversation with female friends where it's completely hypothetical. I'm so let's say this person, everything was amazing about this person, made you feel good, texted all the time, yada 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 yada. And then the height is for whatever reason one that always comes up, and I was he was shorter than you. And then they were both no, I couldn't get that. I'm that's the dumbest shit ever. Yeah. And as the guys who were part of that conversation were all that you're leaving so many opportunities on the table for this shit. For what? A height? It's frustrating when people do that. And then when they complain afterwards, I don't feel bad for them. It's no, you just had a nice guy just now, but he didn't meet your 3-page laundry list of stuff. So don't feel sorry for you.
That height criteria. I mean, could you imagine a world where, let's say let's say that this person didn't meet your criteria, and then men kind of flip it and say, well, you don't meet this kind of criteria. I mean, some men do it, but I think they do it more out of looks than anything else because they want to get the hot chick or whatever. That's it is what it is with that. But I mean, for myself personally, I don't necessarily go through this laundry list of things. I always go off the connection, and I always go, does she look good? If she's cute to me, beauty's always in the eye of beholder, of course.
Yep.
Is she somewhat successful? I mean, success is obviously a relative definition for every person. So that is what it is with that. And, is this person a good person to hang out with? And that's really it. I don't look for nitty gritty details. I think that's corny.
It's very corny. And the funny thing about that is, female friends of mine, friends of friends, they'll go for the lawyers, the doctors, the consultants. within a couple weeks, couple months, oh my God, he never has time for me. Well, that comes with the territory.
I've heard that a lot too.
You just met a teacher or social worker or a firefighter, whatever. Great guy, but
he doesn't have time for you because
he didn't make enough money. So it's like
this person is engrossed in their own shit, like their own careers. Like being a firefighter is a 24-hour job. Being in finance is damn near a 24-hour job. Some parts of IT definitely like 24 hours. So these fields that people work in, definitely take up time. And if I've said this in an episode, I was just like, if I got to choose between getting money, making my career better, and, satisfying a woman because I have no time for her, whatever, I'm going for the money, because the money in the long term is going to, elevate my status a little bit more. But maybe this relationship will, maybe it won't. But the money is kind of more of a guarantee than you are. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it's dollars and cents at this point, right?
Yeah, but it's also about, you're equating money as like a tangible thing, but that really, the only way that you're getting more money is if you're performing, and you're only performing in your job if you're progressively getting better.
Exactly.
So it's a self-investment. It's not a selfish reason per se. At least that's how I view it, because I'm also very career oriented.
But there are some women out there who view it as like this selfish thing. Like, I've told you stories about women that I've dealt with where, they've told me stories about, oh, this person didn't have time for me. I felt like a housekeeper in the house, so I had to let him go. Like, it's just like, but I'm a doctor, so I have shit to do. Like, the only way that you live in this house and these lights go on and off is if I go to work, and I have to make that money. So why are you complaining?
It kind of brings an interesting thought to my head that in this scenario, it's like the woman that's complaining that, the man's the breadwinner and they're not spending enough time with significant other. But what about it when it's flipped? So like, let's say it is a woman that has been open-minded and she decided to date somebody that isn't in the same spot in his career as she is. Why is it that when those scenarios happen, why is it that we're always having a conversation of, as a man, like he's not in his right spot, so he acts a certain way or acts a little bit different because he's not making as much money. So it kind of becomes like it's a development opportunity for the guy, versus with the woman, it's just complaining. So like, what are your thoughts about that?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I feel as though if the roles are reversed and the woman in a relationship is making a lot more, I feel as though a lot of guys' egos can't even handle that. So that's, like, they'll like either subconsciously or consciously just blow that shit up. Like, just like, they'll like always be complaining. They'll make like subtle remarks where they're out, and it's like, why you always gotta get the chat? They'll like slowly, unfortunately, self-sabotage. I think that's the big difference, where we'll just like blow the shit up, whereas women are a lot more patient and like try to stick it out, and then we'll kind of like, I don't know. Yes, I think it just depends on unfortunately it's not even when the roles are flipped.
Yeah, like right. I think that's the big thing that I've noticed is that it's like, oh, a woman's complaining, but for a man it's like, oh, he just wants to be a better man. But I think it's also, I mean, the behaviors are both immature, because
definitely,
like the woman sitting there complaining, but she doesn't realize that this is what she actually wanted. Mm-hmm. And maybe if you have somebody that's supportive of you, maybe you can also push yourself to do a little bit more if you feel that you're just sitting at home the entire time.
Right.
Whereas like the man, instead of just complaining, why don't you go out and sort of improve yourself and get yourself a better job?
Right.
So I think they're both immature behaviors. It's just interesting how the perception is different.
I mean, some men, when they're like very, no, complaints is not even a good word. When they're very settled in what they want to do, like, okay, I say this, like, the woman is a lawyer and the man is a plumber, right? Two very different professional fields whatsoever. Man makes, let's just say $75K. Woman makes, lawyer, I'm probably lowballing this one. Let's say 165, right? They're very much in love with each other. They're very much. I'm pretty sure the guy in the situation is like okay because number one, that guy usually is like what I found with like a lot of blue collar guys. They're pretty good. They're just like, well, you know, she makes more than I do, but you know, I go to work every day. I make my own money. I do this, and some things you just can't help, right? In terms of like income and like the disparities of income. Woman comes back, she makes 165, and they're pretty good. I think what you're saying besides that is like, well, because they're both like immature in the way that they were acting. The story that I said was because the woman in the story was she didn't have a degree, and the man in this case has a doctorate. He's a practicing doctor. So it just, to me, like, it was just like a big disparity. I've seen it where like with men, both men and women, that when men have blue collar fields and women have like more white collar fields, I've seen it play out perfectly. I know couples that, you know, that have done that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's probably because they got into a relationship based on their connection, not the boxes.
Not the boxes that they're checking off and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's probably organic, and they're probably adult enough to realize
like, hey,
our respective fields have certain
ceilings.
Yeah, so it's like Plum's not gonna make $200K.
No,
like, just is
not
what it is.
unless
like,
you own like a fucking like 5 successful.
Yeah, you got a patent on some type of tubing or something.
Yeah,
got these pipes out here in the streets.
So yeah.
Well, that's interesting though. But what I also wanted to bring context to what we're talking about and checking boxes is that we've talked about dating being a numbers game in terms of like, if you swipe on this many people, you have more likelihood to like get a couple of dates or more dates of where people are like somewhat attracted to you or starting to be compatible with you.
Right.
But when we start putting these checklists together and start saying, okay, well, this I absolutely won't do, like the impact on the numbers is actually really, like, it tells a very powerful story. So I wanted to share that with our listeners, and we will be sharing the link to this article just so that you can also have access to it. But imagine that you're living in a city with 1 million people, and your deal breaker number one is somebody that's married. So you will absolutely not date someone that's married. So surprise, 49% of the population, according to the US Census, is already married. So you've kind of like taken that number of 1 million people, which of course, if you're heterosexual, 50% of the population is male or female. So you're only looking at half of the million to start with. So now you've already dwindled that to like 250,000. Now, another big one that we talked about was education. So 29% of the population is the people that have a bachelor's degree. So if you're not willing to date someone that has anything less than a bachelor's degree, then you've taken your number to 73,000 roughly.
Oh, Jesus.
We talked about heights. So for the average height for a man is 5'9".
Hey.
The average height for a woman is 5'4". So if you have rules around height, then that's going to half your number yet again. So we were talking about 73,000. Now you're talking about 36,000 people that are probably in your pool. And this sounds like it would be more applicable to a woman than it would be to a man.
Yeah, the man's probably the full 1 million.
Then the other piece is like age. So we really didn't get into age because I don't think it was a big deal for any of us. But for some people that say, well, you know, the age difference can't be more than 5 or 10 years, then you're thinking about reducing that pool again by 86%.
Jesus.
So then we're getting into a bigger one that we didn't talk about today because it would be such a big topic on its own. But another common deal breaker is race.
Oh, wow.
So if you then start...
I've seen that on Tinder.
Oh, yeah. Tinder's not people of color friendly.
Yeah.
For the most
so
part.
When you took out the deal breaker of age, you got your pool from where we last left it at 36,000 now to 5,000. And then if you take the percentage based on the only races that you're open to dating, so like let's say it's Black people. So then you're taking that 5,000, only 13% of those people would then be part of your pool that you would consider if you're very, very tied to only dating people in your own race.
Shit, so 650 black people. Good luck.
So
Damn, he did that in his head, guys. What the fuck?
He's a
finance guy.
I was like, I was going to let y'all look it up in this article, but Brock already did us a favor.
Yo, you know he's a finance. He already got the numbers down.
Yeah, but like I thought that was really like impactful just to think about like all these filters that we put, and none of these filters talk about just chemistry.
And that's the problem. We do it backwards. We do lists, then chemistry. Instead of chemistry, then, okay, maybe we can't work with it.
Maybe we can work with it, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I mean, yeah, I guess that's what apps have done to us.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Desensitized us.
And I mean, I don't know. It's like, how do you deal with really understanding deal breakers? I don't know. I think my biggest thing is just always keeping an open mind. I think you, like you said, we do it the reverse. It's like we create this laundry list of things, criteria that people have to meet. And unless they meet them, then you don't even bother like getting to know them.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know how to, my best advice would just keep an open mind because you never know where you can meet
That future Mr.
your
and
future
Mrs.
mates.
Mr. and Mrs. Walden.
Please.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other tips maybe on how to people can navigate through this deal breaker conversation?
Just be very precise in what's a deal breaker versus a preference for you. Try not to muddy the waters with that. And it's okay to be picky, but like we just demonstrated, it's just might be alone for a while. So just be, and that's fine. Like, but just be wary of that. Like, the pickier you are, the less likely is you finding someone. But if you know that's what you want in someone, then that's fine. But just be mindful of that.
I think is to be perceptive as to what you really want. That would be like a good thing. You know, write down a list, scratch off the shits that you can kind of deal with, and then whatever's left is that's it. So that's the person you need in your life.
Agreed.
All right, let us know what you think on our website. You can hit us up on our Contact Us form, or you can email us at nofreedrinks@gmail.com and let us know what you think about our deal breakers.
And thanks for joining us today at No Free Drinks. Don't forget that our episodes release every single Wednesday, of course, hump day. But the easiest way to stay in touch with us is to just subscribe to our podcast. And you can find us by searching No Free Drinks on your favorite podcast app. But for my Apple users, show us some love, especially if you love what you're hearing. Rate us and leave us a review. And specifically, if you're a big social media user, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. You can find us at _NoFreeDrinks. And in our bio, we have a link where you can easily connect to wherever we're playing our podcast, as well as our other social media platforms. And we hope that you loved today. Thanks for coming. I hope it was good for you too. This is Lina D. Kisses.
This is Wesley. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Hey guys, this is Brock. Make love, not babies.